The blood-red sunset cast long shadows across the dusty main street of Wheatland, Wyoming Territory, 1875. As Cassandra Martin stumbled home from her third job of the day, her calloused hands bearing the marks of a woman who hadn't known rest in years. Her younger brothers would be waiting, hungry as always, their futures resting squarely on her 22-year-old shoulders since their parents' passing 2 winters ago. What she didn't expect to see was the imposing figure of a stranger leaning against the fence post of their dilapidated homestead, a man whose arrival would forever alter the course of her exhausted existence. Miss Martin. The tall cowboy straightened as she approached, removing his hat to reveal sandy blonde hair and eyes the color of a summer sky. Name's Adam Fitzgerald. I've purchased the Rocking S Ranch neighboring your property, and I understand you have brothers who might be looking for honest work. Cassandra narrowed her eyes, suspicious of this well-dressed stranger with his polite manner and confident stance. 3 years of struggling had taught her to distrust easy solutions. My brothers are just boys, Mr. Fitzgerald. Boys grow stronger with proper guidance. I need hands who can learn, Miss Martin, not just those who already know. He assessed her tired eyes and worn dress with a gaze that felt more respectful than pitying. Word in town is you've been working yourself half to death. Might be time someone else shouldered some of that burden. Inside the small cabin, 14-year-old Thomas and 16-year-old James were attempting to cook beans over the meager fire. Both boys looked up with identical expressions of curiosity when Cassandra entered with the stranger. Despite her exhaustion, she made proper introductions, watching carefully as Adam explained his proposal. I need ranch hands willing to learn the cattle business properly, Adam explained, his deep voice filling their modest home. Full-time work, fair wages, with room and board provided at the ranch for when the work runs long. He turned to Cassandra, which would free you from at least 2 of those jobs you're killing yourself with. James, always the more outspoken of her brothers, stepped forward. We can work hard, sir. We've been keeping this place together with Cassie, but your sister shouldn't have to clean at the hotel before dawn, wait tables at the diner through noon, and then take in laundry until sunset, Adam finished, his eyes never leaving Cassandra's face. A woman needs rest same as anyone. Cassandra felt a flush of both embarrassment and relief. My brothers are all I have, Mr. Fitzgerald. I can't just send them off. Adam nodded, understanding evident in his expression. Which is why I'd like to invite you to the ranch this Sunday, see the operation, meet my foreman and cook. Bring the boys, have a proper meal. No decisions needed until you're satisfied I'm offering something worthy of your brother's efforts. That night, after Adam had departed and her brothers had finally fallen asleep, Cassandra sat on the edge of her narrow bed, staring at her raw, reddened hands. 3 jobs barely kept food on the table and the small mortgage paid. The thought of her brothers finding steady work both thrilled and terrified her. For 3 long years, every decision, every sacrifice had been for them. What would become of her purpose if they no longer needed her constant protection? Sunday arrived with unusual brightness, as if the Wyoming sky itself approved of the Martins' journey to the Rocking S Ranch. Cassandra had carefully mended her best dress, faded blue cotton, that had once belonged to her mother, while the boys had scrubbed themselves clean with uncharacteristic thoroughness. The Rocking S sprawled across the rolling grassland, a testament to both ambition and hard work. The main house stood 2 stories tall with a wide porch, while the barn and various outbuildings formed a neat cluster nearby. Cattle dotted the distant pastures, and several horses nickered in the corral as their wagon approached. Adam greeted them at the front gate, dressed in clean work clothes rather than the town attire he'd worn during their first meeting. "Welcome to Rocking S," he said, helping Cassandra down from the wagon with a gentle but firm grip. His hand lingered on hers a moment longer than necessary, and she found herself noticing the pleasant roughness of his palms against her skin. "This is quite impressive," Cassandra admitted, taking in the prosperous operation. "How long have you owned this ranch?" "Bought it 3 months ago from a widow heading back east," Adam explained, guiding them toward the main house. "Previous owner let things slide some, but the bones are good. Been hiring carefully, building the right crew." He glanced at her brothers with assessment. "Need men who care about what they're doing, not just collecting wages." Inside, the house was simply furnished but comfortable. A heavy-set woman with a friendly face was putting the finishing touches on what appeared to be a feast compared to the Martins' usual fare. "Mrs. Peterson, my housekeeper and cook," Adam introduced. "Makes the best biscuits in 3 territories." The woman smiled warmly. "And don't you forget it, Mr. Fitzgerald. Now get these young people seated before everything gets cold." Throughout the meal, Cassandra observed how Adam spoke to her brothers not as children, but as young men with potential. He asked James about his experience with horses, nodded approvingly when Thomas mentioned his interest in carpentry, and outlined clear expectations about the work and living arrangements. "You'd start with basic chores," Adam explained, "but I don't keep anyone doing the same task forever. My men learn every aspect of ranching from calving to breaking horses, building fences to business dealings. A man should know the whole operation, not just his small piece of it." After the meal, Adam showed them around the property while James and Thomas peppered him with questions. Cassandra hung back slightly, watching this confident man interact with her brothers. There was something disarming about his straightforward manner, something that made her both wary and intrigued. As they approached the barn, Adam fell into step beside her. "You haven't asked a single question, Miss Martin. I find that curious for someone so protective of her family." Cassandra looked up at him, noting the intelligent gleam in his blue eyes. "I've learned to listen more than speak, Mr. Fitzgerald. People reveal their true intentions through actions more than words." "Fair assessment," he nodded. "And what have my actions told you so far?" She considered this carefully. "That you're building something here, that you value teaching over merely employing, that you're—" She hesitated. "Lonely, perhaps." Adam's eyebrows rose slightly. "Perceptive. Not lonely for company, I've plenty of hands working for me, but lonely for purpose, maybe. Men need more than just accumulation of wealth to find satisfaction." He gestured toward her brothers, now examining a new foal with the ranch foreman. "They're good boys. You've done right by them." "They're all I have," Cassandra repeated her words from their first meeting. "That doesn't mean they're all you can have," Adam replied quietly. The ride home was filled with her brother's excited chatter. James had already decided he wanted to work with the horses, while Thomas was fascinated by the smithy and carpentry shop. Cassandra remained quiet, turning over Adam's proposition in her mind. "What do you think, Cassie?" James finally asked as their cabin came into view. "Mr. Fitzgerald said we could start tomorrow if you approve." Cassandra sighed, looking at her brothers' hopeful faces. "The wages are fair, the opportunity good. If it's what you both want, I won't stand in your way." Both boys whooped with excitement, but Thomas's face grew serious as he studied his sister. "Will you be all right on your own, Cassie? You've never been alone since." Since their parents died of influenza, leaving 20-year-old Cassandra to raise her brothers and somehow keep their small homestead. "I'll manage just fine," she assured him with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Maybe I'll finally have time to properly mend the roof." That night, after her brothers had fallen asleep dreaming of their new opportunities, Cassandra slipped outside to sit on the porch steps. The night was clear, stars scattered like diamonds across the velvet sky. Freedom from 2 of her jobs would be a blessing for her body, but the prospect of an empty house created a hollow feeling in her chest she hadn't anticipated. The next morning, Cassandra rose earlier than usual to prepare a hearty breakfast for her brothers before their first day. She packed each a small bundle of spare clothes and stood in the doorway watching as they rode off toward the rocking S. James on their aging mare and Thomas perched behind him. For the first time in 3 years, Cassandra found herself alone. The silence of the cabin pressed in around her as she mechanically prepared for her remaining job at the Wheatland Hotel. Her brothers would still live at home, but Adam had explained they would sometimes stay at the ranch during busy periods or when work ran late. At the hotel, Mrs. Henderson noticed her distraction immediately. "Your mind's elsewhere today, Cassie. Something troubling you?" Cassandra shook her head as she changed the linens in room 4. "My brothers started working for the new owner of Rocking S Ranch today. It's a good opportunity for them." "Adam Fitzgerald," Mrs. Henderson raised an eyebrow. "Handsome fella, isn't he? Polite, too, unlike some of these cowboys that blow through town. Heard he made his fortune in the Colorado silver mines before deciding to try his hand at ranching." Cassandra focused intently on tucking the corner of the sheet. "Is that so? He seems to know what he's doing." "Oh, he's no fool. Already making improvements to that place. Word is he's looking to establish himself proper-like." Mrs. Henderson gave Cassandra a meaningful look. "A man like that will be looking for a wife soon enough. Someone capable, with good sense. I'm sure there are plenty of eligible young women in Wheatland who'd be interested in such prospects," Cassandra replied evenly, though she felt an unexpected warmth creep into her cheeks. Mrs. Henderson just smiled knowingly. "Perhaps, though not many who have proven themselves as devoted to family as you have, dear." That evening, Cassandra returned home to find her brothers already there, tired but animated as they described their day. James had helped exercise the horses, while Thomas had assisted the ranch carpenter with repairs to a wagon. "Mr. Fitzgerald checked on us throughout the day," James reported. "Wanted to make sure we were settling in all right. Even ate lunch with us and the other hands." Thomas nodded enthusiastically. "He asked about you too, Cassie. Wanted to know if you were doing all right on your own today." Cassandra busied herself at the stove. "That was considerate of him. I hope you told him I'm perfectly capable of managing." "Course we did," James replied. "But he still said he might ride by tomorrow to see for himself." True to his word, Adam appeared at the Martin homestead the following afternoon just as Cassandra was hanging laundry. She spotted him approaching on a handsome buckskin gelding and quickly wiped her hands on her apron, suddenly conscious of her work-worn appearance. "Miss Martin," Adam greeted her, dismounting with easy grace. "Hope I'm not intruding." "Not at all, Mr. Fitzgerald. I was just finishing up here." She gestured toward the clothesline where sheets flapped in the prairie breeze. "How are my brothers performing?" "Admirably," Adam replied, tethering his horse to the fence post. "James has a natural way with horses. Thomas is quick to learn whatever Mr. Cooper shows him in the workshop." He studied her face. "But I didn't ride all this way to discuss your brothers." Cassandra raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I wanted to see how you're adjusting. 3 years of constant work and worry don't ease overnight." His direct gaze made her feel strangely exposed. "Have you been able to rest at all?" The question caught her off guard. Rest had become such a foreign concept that she barely recognized it. "I find myself at loose ends sometimes," she admitted. "There's only so much mending one can do." Adam nodded as if her answer confirmed something. "I have a proposition for you, Miss Martin, one that might benefit us both." Wariness crept into Cassandra's posture. "What sort of proposition?" "My housekeeper, Mrs. Peterson, is overwhelmed with the growing number of hands. She needs help, not full-time, mind you, but a few days a week. Cooking, preserving, household management." He held up a hand when he saw her expression. "It's not charity. The work needs doing, and I'd pay fair wages." Cassandra considered the offer. The additional income would certainly help, and with her brother's wages, she might even be able to quit the hotel job entirely. "I suppose I could manage 2 days a week, possibly 3. Relief crossed Adam's features. "Excellent. Mrs. Peterson will be grateful. She's been threatening to poison my coffee if I didn't find her assistance soon." His smile transformed his face, softening the lines around his eyes. "We'll expect you tomorrow, then. 9 o'clock. After Adam departed, Cassandra found herself smiling as she finished hanging the laundry. The prospect of working at the Rocking S held an appeal she wasn't ready to examine too closely. The following weeks established a new rhythm to Cassandra's life. She worked at the ranch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and occasionally Saturdays, while maintaining her position at the hotel 3 days a week. For the first time in years, she had Sundays entirely to herself, a luxury that initially left her restless, until she rediscovered simple pleasures like reading or taking walks along the creek that bordered their property. At the Rocking S, Cassandra quickly proved her worth in the kitchen and household management. Mrs. Peterson, initially territorial about her domain, soon came to appreciate Cassandra's efficiency and willingness to learn. The two women formed an easy partnership, with the older woman sharing recipes and wisdom accumulated over decades of ranch life. More unsettling was Cassandra's growing awareness of Adam Fitzgerald. Though he spent most days working alongside his men, he always made time to check in when she was at the ranch. Their conversations began as polite exchanges, but gradually deepened as weeks passed. She learned he was 30 years old, had indeed made his fortune in mining but had always dreamed of ranching, and that he had no family save for a married sister in Boston. "Why Wyoming?" Cassandra asked one afternoon as they sat on the porch during a brief respite from their duties. "With your means, you could have chosen anywhere." Adam considered the question, his gaze sweeping across the rolling grassland that stretched toward distant mountains. "Space," he finally said. "Room to breathe, to build something that could last generations." The mining camps were crowded, desperate places, men clawing over each other for a chance at riches. He looked at her. "Here, a person is measured by their character more than their possessions. Yet possessions make life considerably easier," Cassandra observed. "They do," Adam acknowledged with a wry smile. "I won't pretend poverty is noble. I've seen too much suffering to romanticize it." His expression grew serious. "But wealth without purpose is just accumulation. I wanted my life to matter beyond a bank ledger." Something in his earnest declaration resonated with Cassandra. For all her practicality, she too yearned for meaning beyond mere survival. "And does ranching provide that purpose?" "Part of it." His eyes held hers a moment too long before he looked away. "The rest I'm still figuring out." As autumn approached, bringing cooler temperatures and earlier sunsets, the relationship between Cassandra and Adam continued to evolve. Their conversations became the highlight of her workdays, ranging from practical discussions about ranch operations to philosophical debates about books they'd read. He respected her intelligence and valued her opinions, something few men in her experience had bothered to do. James and Thomas thrived under Adam's mentorship. James had graduated from basic chores to actively working with the horse trainer, while Thomas showed such aptitude for carpentry that Adam had arranged for him to formally apprentice with Mr. Cooper, the ranch's master carpenter. "Your brothers will be fine men," Adam commented one evening as he walked Cassandra to her wagon after a long day of canning preserves for the winter. "You've given them a solid foundation." Cassandra smiled, pride warming her chest. "They were always good boys. They just needed opportunity." "As do we all." Adam helped her into the wagon, his hands lingering at her waist a moment longer than necessary. "Will you come to the harvest dance in town this Saturday? The whole ranch will be attending." The invitation surprised her. Social events had been luxuries she couldn't afford in recent years. "I don't know if before you refuse," he interrupted gently. "Consider that you haven't allowed yourself any real enjoyment in 3 years. Your brothers are provided for. Your work is manageable for the first time since your parents passed. Perhaps it's time you remembered there's more to life than obligation." His words struck a chord. When had she last done anything purely for pleasure? "I'll consider it," she promised, gathering the reins. Adam stepped back, satisfaction evident in his expression. "That's all I ask." The harvest dance became a family debate that evening, with both brothers insisting Cassandra attend. "We're going," James declared. "You should come too, Cassie." "When's the last time you did something fun?" "I have responsibilities," she protested weakly. Thomas rolled his eyes. "You have one responsibility now: to stop acting like you're 90 years old. You're 22, for heaven's sake." "Thomas." Cassandra scolded, but couldn't help laughing at his bluntness. "He's right, Cassie," James said more gently. "You've taken care of us for so long. Maybe it's time to think about your own happiness a little." Her brother's perspective gave her pause. Had she become so accustomed to sacrifice that she'd forgotten how to embrace joy? "Very well," she finally conceded. "I'll attend the dance." The decision created an unexpected dilemma. Cassandra had nothing suitable to wear. Her everyday dresses were practical but shabby, and her one good dress was now several years out of style. After a restless night, she reluctantly visited Wheatland's small dress shop the following day. Mrs. Emerson, the shopkeeper, brightened when Cassandra explained her need. "For the harvest dance? How wonderful! I've just received some lovely fabrics from back east." She pulled out several bolts of cloth, but Cassandra's attention was drawn to a ready-made dress in the window display, a deep burgundy creation with modest lace trim. "That's a beauty, isn't it, Mrs.?" Emerson noted her interest. "Just arrived last week. Would be stunning with your coloring." Cassandra approached the dress cautiously, running her fingers along the fine material. "It's lovely, but I couldn't possibly—" The shopkeeper waved away her protests. "At least try it on. No harm in looking." Minutes later, standing before the shop's only mirror, Cassandra barely recognized herself. The dress fit as if made for her, the rich color bringing warmth to her complexion and highlighting the golden flecks in her hazel eyes. For the first time in years, she saw not just the caretaker of her brothers, but a young woman with her own dreams and desires. "Well," Mrs. Emerson prompted. "It's perfect," Cassandra whispered. "But the cost?" "Consider it an investment," the older woman suggested. "Some opportunities are worth a bit of extravagance." The night of the dance arrived with clear skies and a full harvest moon illuminating Wheatland streets. The town hall had been transformed with autumn decorations, golden bunting, arrangements of dried wheat stalks, and dozens of candles creating a warm, inviting atmosphere. Cassandra entered with her brothers, immediately conscious of the appreciative glances that followed her progress across the room. James and Thomas quickly disappeared among their new friends, leaving her momentarily adrift until Mrs. Peterson bustled over. "There you are, child." "My, don't you clean up nicely," the housekeeper exclaimed. "Come, Let me introduce you to some folks you haven't met yet." Before they could move, however, Adam appeared at her elbow, looking more handsome than ever in a crisp white shirt and dark vest. "Miss Martin," he greeted her, his eyes taking in her transformation. "You look absolutely beautiful." Cassandra felt a blush warm her cheeks. "Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. You're too kind." "Not kind, truthful." He offered his arm. "Would you favor me with the first dance?" As they joined other couples on the floor, Cassandra was acutely aware of his hand at her waist, the scent of his cologne, and the admiring looks directed their way. The music began, and Adam guided her with confidence through the steps. "I didn't know you could dance," she remarked, surprised by his grace. "There's much about me you don't know yet," he replied with a smile that sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. "Though I hope to remedy that in time." Throughout the evening, Adam remained attentive, introducing her to influential townspeople and ensuring she never lacked for refreshment or company. They danced several times, each one bringing them physically closer as the formality of their relationship gradually dissolved. During a quiet moment while they sipped punch at the edge of the dance floor, Adam leaned down to speak near her ear. "Would you walk outside with me? The night's too beautiful to spend entirely indoors." The moonlit garden behind the town hall offered privacy without impropriety, as other couples also strolled the pathways. Adam guided Cassandra to a bench partially sheltered by an old oak tree, its leaves rustling softly in the evening breeze. "I've wanted to speak to you privately for some time," he began, his usual confidence seeming slightly diminished. "These past months working together, getting to know you and your brothers, they've meant a great deal to me." Cassandra's heart quickened. "They've meant a great deal to us as well." "Your kindness toward my brothers is not what I'm speaking of," Adam interrupted gently. "Or rather, not entirely." He took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "Cassandra, I came to Wyoming seeking purpose. I thought I'd find it in building the ranch, creating something lasting. And while I love the work, I've discovered something I didn't expect." She held her breath, afraid to hope yet unable to stop herself. "What did you find?" "That purpose means little without someone to share it with." His blue eyes reflected the moonlight as he gazed at her. "I find myself thinking of you constantly, your strength, your intelligence, the way you've sacrificed everything for those boys, the way you challenge me when you disagree with my ideas." A smile touched his lips. "Even the way you scold the ranch hands when they track mud into your clean kitchen." A small laugh escaped her. "They do it deliberately to vex me. They do it because they admire you, same as I do." Adam's expression grew serious again. "Only my admiration has grown into something much deeper." Cassandra's free hand went to her throat, emotion threatening to overwhelm her. "Adam, I'm not asking for an answer tonight," he assured her quickly. "Only that you consider the possibility of a future together. I believe we could build something remarkable, not just a prosperous ranch, but a true partnership." He squeezed her hand. "I don't want to rescue you, Cassandra. You've proven you don't need rescuing. I want to walk beside you." Tears pricked at her eyes as years of suppressed longing rose to the surface. She had forced herself to be practical for so long, to focus solely on her brother's needs, that she'd almost forgotten her own capacity for love. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it," Adam suggested. "Say you'll let yourself imagine a life where your happiness matters as much as everyone else's." Before she could respond, music from inside swelled as the doors opened, and the sound of approaching voices broke the intimate moment. Adam helped her to her feet just as several couples rounded the path. "Think about it," he whispered, placing a chaste kiss on her hand before leading her back toward the dance. The remainder of the evening passed in a blur for Cassandra. She danced, she laughed, She conversed, but her mind continually returned to Adam's words and the future he had offered. By the time she and her brothers headed home, the first tendrils of possibility had taken root in her heart. Over the following weeks, Adam courted Cassandra with respectful determination. There were buggy rides through the countryside on Sunday afternoons, picnic lunches by the creek that bordered their properties, and quiet conversations on the ranch house porch after her workdays. Each interaction revealed new aspects of his character: his patience with newcomers to ranching, his generosity toward those in need, his vision for creating not just a successful business but a community. For Cassandra, these revelations were matched by internal discoveries. After years of constraint, she found herself rediscovering joy in simple pleasures and imagining possibilities beyond day-to-day survival. Her brothers noticed the change in her, exchanging knowing glances when Adam visited, or when Cassandra returned from outings with a lightness they hadn't seen since before their parents died. As winter approached, bringing the first dusting of snow to Wheatland, Adam invited the Martin siblings to Sunday dinner at the ranch, a now regular occurrence that had become the highlight of Cassandra's week. This particular evening, however, felt different. Adam seemed slightly nervous, and Mrs. Peterson had prepared an especially elaborate meal. After dinner, while her brothers were engaged in a chess match with Mr. Cooper, Adam suggested Cassandra join him in his study. The room reflected his personality, practical yet comfortable, with well-used books lining the shelves and maps of the territory spread across his desk. "I've been corresponding with an architect in Cheyenne," Adam explained, showing her detailed drawings. "These are plans for expanding the ranch house come spring." Cassandra studied the sketches with interest. "It's already a fine home. Why the expansion?" Adam hesitated, then squared his shoulders as if coming to a decision. "Because I hope it won't be just my home much longer." From his desk drawer, he withdrew a small velvet box. "I had planned a more romantic setting for this, but I find I can't wait another day." Cassandra's breath caught as he opened the box to reveal a gold ring set with a modest diamond flanked by two smaller sapphires. "Adam." He took her hand, his expression more vulnerable than she'd ever seen it. "Cassandra Martin, these months knowing you have been the happiest of my life. You walked into my world exhausted and weary, bearing responsibilities no young woman should face alone, yet still showing such strength and dignity." His voice grew husky with emotion. "I love your determination, your intelligence, your fierce loyalty to family. I love the woman you are and the partner you could be." Kneeling before her, he continued, "I'm offering not just my name and my protection, but my partnership in all things. The ranch would be ours together, decisions made jointly. Your brothers would have the security of family and the opportunities they deserve." His blue eyes searched hers. "Will you marry me, Cassandra? Will you build this life with me?" Tears blurred her vision as years of carefully maintained control gave way to overwhelming emotion. "Yes," she whispered, then more firmly, "Yes, Adam, I will marry you." His face lit with joy as he slipped the ring onto her finger, then rose to gather her in his arms. Their first kiss was gentle, a promise of tenderness, before deepening into something that spoke of passion long restrained. When they finally parted, both breathless, Adam rested his forehead against hers. "I've waited so long to do that," he murmured. Cassandra laughed softly. "Was it worth the wait? Every second?" He kissed her again briefly. "Though I don't intend to wait much longer to make you my wife." "How do you feel about a Christmas wedding?" The announcement of their engagement was met with enthusiasm from her brothers and knowing smiles from the ranch staff, who had observed the growing attachment between their employer and the capable young woman who had brought new life to the household. Mrs. Peterson immediately began planning the wedding feast, while Mr. Cooper offered to craft a special bedroom set as his gift to the couple. In Wheatland, the news spread quickly, generating mostly goodwill. A few young women who had set their caps for the wealthy rancher expressed disappointment, but most townsfolk approved of the match. Cassandra Martin had earned their respect through her years of hard work and dedication to her brothers. The weeks before Christmas passed in a flurry of preparations. Cassandra, unused to considering her own wishes, found herself overwhelmed by decisions about dresses, flowers, and household arrangements. Adam gently encouraged her to voice her preferences, insisting that her happiness was paramount. "This house will be yours to manage as you see fit," he told her as they discussed which rooms her brothers would occupy. "I want you to make any changes necessary for your comfort." Cassandra appreciated his consideration, but found herself drawn to the home as it already existed. Mrs. Peterson has created a welcoming atmosphere. I wouldn't change much, only perhaps brighten the parlor with some new curtains and cushions. Adam smiled, bringing her hand to his lips. "Whatever pleases you pleases me." As their wedding day approached, Cassandra experienced moments of doubt not about her feelings for Adam, but about her ability to transition from years of hardship to a position of relative privilege. One evening, finding her unusually quiet after dinner, Adam suggested a walk despite the cold. Bundled in warm coats, they strolled the lantern-lit path between the house and barn, their breath forming clouds in the frigid air. "Something's troubling you," Adam observed. "Will you share it with me?" Cassandra hesitated, then admitted, "I'm afraid I won't be the wife you expect. That I won't know how to be anything but the struggling girl you first met." Adam stopped walking, turning to face her. "The struggling girl I first met is precisely who I fell in love with. Her strength, her dignity, her fierce protection of her family." He cupped her face in his gloved hands. "I don't expect you to transform into someone else because our circumstances are changing. I expect us to grow together, to help each other become our best selves." His understanding broke through her insecurity. "How did you become so wise?" she asked, leaning into his touch. "Not wise, just observant," he replied with a smile, "and utterly devoted to your happiness." Their wedding day dawned clear and cold, the December sun casting a golden glow over the snow-covered landscape. The small church in Wheatland was decorated with evergreen boughs and red ribbons, creating a festive backdrop for the ceremony. James proudly escorted his sister down the aisle, while Thomas served as ring-bearer, both brothers beaming with approval for the man who had changed all their lives. Cassandra wore a gown of ivory satin, simple yet elegant, with Mrs. Peterson's lace veil crowning her upswept hair. Adam waited at the altar, his expression transforming from nervous anticipation to undisguised adoration as she approached. When she placed her hand in his, the journey that had begun with exhaustion and weariness culminated in a moment of perfect certainty. "I, Adam, take thee, Cassandra, to be my wedded wife," he vowed, his voice steady and sure. "To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death us do part." As Cassandra repeated the sacred words, she marveled at the path that had led her to this moment. 3 years of grueling work and worry had forged her into a woman capable of recognizing true partnership when it was offered. The ring Adam placed on her finger symbolized not just their union, but the beginning of a new chapter for the entire Martin family. "I now pronounce you man and wife," the minister declared. "You may kiss your bride." Adam's kiss was tender yet possessive, a perfect balance that reflected their relationship. As they turned to face the congregation as husband and wife, Cassandra caught sight of her brothers' happy faces and felt a sense of completion. The circle of family that had been broken by their parents' deaths was whole again, expanded and strengthened by love. The wedding celebration at the Rocking S Ranch continued well into the evening, with townspeople and ranch hands alike joining in the festivities. Adam and Cassandra moved among their guests, accepting congratulations and sharing their joy. As the night grew late, they slipped away to the main house, now decorated with touches that reflected Cassandra's taste: colorful quilts draped over chairs, fresh curtains at the windows, and vases of dried flowers bringing warmth to every room. In the privacy of what was now their bedroom, Adam helped remove the pins from Cassandra's hair, watching as it cascaded down her back in chestnut waves. "You've made me the happiest of men today, Mrs. Fitzgerald," he murmured, replacing each pin with a soft kiss. Cassandra turned in his arms, no longer shy about showing her affection. "And you've given me more than I ever dared hope for, Mr. Fitzgerald." She traced the line of his jaw with gentle fingers. Not just security or comfort, but partnership, a chance to build something meaningful together. Their first night as husband and wife was a discovery of tenderness and passion, of two people who had found in each other not just a lover, but a true companion. As they lay entwined in the quiet aftermath, Adam whispered promises against her skin of respect, of partnership, of unwavering devotion through whatever challenges life might bring. The winter passed in a blur of domestic happiness as Cassandra settled into her role as mistress of the Rocking S. She worked alongside Mrs. Peterson, learning the intricacies of managing a large household, while also participating in ranch decisions with Adam. Her brothers thrived in their positions, growing in skill and confidence under Adam's mentorship. By spring, as new calves dotted the pastures and the first wildflowers bloomed across the prairie, Cassandra discovered she was carrying their first child. Adam's reaction to the news was everything she could have hoped for: a mixture of joy, tenderness, and protective concern that made her love him even more deeply. "A baby," he murmured in wonder, his hand resting gently on her still flat abdomen. "Our child." His eyes met hers, filled with emotion. "I promise you won't face this alone, not any part of it." True to his word, Adam remained attentive throughout her pregnancy. He insisted she rest when needed, brought in additional help for the household, and even learned to cook simple meals on days when morning sickness left her unable to face the kitchen. Her brothers, initially awkward about the coming change, soon embraced the idea of becoming uncles, with Thomas even beginning to craft a cradle in the workshop. As Cassandra's body changed, so too did the Rocking S. Adam's expansion plans for the house proceeded, adding a nursery adjacent to their bedroom and improving the kitchen to Cassandra's specifications. The ranch operations grew as well, with new land purchases increasing their herd and additional hands hired to manage the workload. In late autumn, just as the aspens turned golden across the Wyoming landscape, Cassandra gave birth to a son they named William Robert Fitzgerald, William for Adam's father and Robert for Cassandra's. The birth was difficult but ultimately successful, with Dr. Harper from town attending and Mrs. Peterson providing experienced support. When Adam first held his son, tears glistened in his eyes. "He's perfect," he whispered, carefully returning the swaddled infant to Cassandra's arms, just like his mother. As William grew from infant to toddler, the Rocking S Ranch flourished under the Fitzgeralds' joint management. Adam's vision and business acumen combined with Cassandra's practical efficiency and careful planning created an operation that became the envy of the territory. Their home was known for its hospitality, with frequent gatherings that brought together ranchers, townspeople, and even travelers passing through Wheatland. James Martin, now 20, had developed into an exceptional horseman and Adam's right hand in ranch operations. Thomas, 18, divided his time between carpentry and ranching, his skilled hands equally adept at crafting furniture or mending fences. Both young men lived in the expanded ranch house, though James had begun courting the schoolteacher's daughter and spoke of building his own home someday. On the 5th anniversary of their wedding, Adam surprised Cassandra with a special dinner after William had been tucked into bed. By firelight, they reminisced about their journey from that first meeting at her dilapidated homestead to the prosperous life they now shared. "Do you ever think about how different things might have been?" Cassandra asked, her head resting against his shoulder as they sat together on the parlor sofa. "If you hadn't come to Wheatland, if you hadn't needed ranch hands." Adam's fingers idly stroked her arm. "I believe we would have found each other somehow. Some connections are meant to be, regardless of circumstance." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "But I'm grateful it happened as it did. Watching you transform from that exhausted young woman to the confident ranch mistress you are today has been one of my life's greatest privileges." Cassandra smiled, thinking of their journey. From 3 grueling jobs to this abundant life. "Sometimes I still can't believe it." "Believe it," Adam murmured, drawing her closer. "And know that the best is yet to come." He was right, as usual. The following year brought the birth of their daughter, Elizabeth, a spirited girl with her father's blue eyes and her mother's determined nature. 2 years later, another son joined the family, completing their household with joyful chaos. As the years passed, the legend of the Fitzgerald family spread throughout Wyoming Territory, how a hardworking young woman caught the eye of a visionary rancher. How together they built not just a successful business but a loving home that became the heart of their community. Their story became an example of how determination, mutual respect, and true partnership could overcome even the harshest circumstances. On warm summer evenings, Cassandra often sat on the porch watching her children play in the yard while Adam discussed the day's business with James or other ranch hands. In these moments, she would sometimes remember that exhausted young woman who had stumbled home from her 3rd job, certain that sacrifice and struggle would define her entire life. How wrong she had been. How beautifully, wonderfully wrong. The Rocking S Ranch stood as testament to what could grow from the seeds of kindness and respect a prosperous business. Yes, but more importantly, a legacy of love that would endure for generations to come. From 3 jobs to feed her family to the abundant life she now led, Cassandra Fitzgerald's journey had come full circle, proving that even in the hardscrabble world of the Wyoming frontier, happy endings were possible for those brave enough to embrace them.